Well, Donna, thank you for joining me here at Sunfish Lake Park with, of course, Jazz and Jive. Jazz is this
He's the
this
boy.
guy, and Jive
Is the girl.
is the girl. And how old are they?
Jazz is 11 and Jive is 7.
Okay, so you've had a few years with these dogs.
I've had them both since they were 9 weeks old, Judy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about your brand new book that just came out, Being a Super Pet Parent. Congratulations. That's
Thank
so
you.
exciting. And just so folks know watching this, we go back a ways because you actually had a show at our community television station, which you talk about in the book. Just tell people a little bit about what you did and your interesting background.
Well, Jazz was my co-host for a TV show. When Jazz came into my life, I had a whole different experience with dogs being in my life, and it seemed to me there were so many people so educated. Mm-hmm. The vets, the trainers, everybody they had such a different perspective about dogs, such a level of respect and understanding. It felt like a movement of trying to change people's thinking about dogs in general, and I felt like I wanted to be a part of it. But I obviously wasn't a vet and I wasn't a trainer, but what I had done was TV shows in corporate America. So one thing led to another. You know how those things happen.
Yes, yeah.
They evolve, you don't plan them, and we had a TV show. Jazz was my co-host. We had 48 episodes. I had so many experts on the show.
Yes.
I learned so much from all these wonderful people who love dogs and want to make the world a better place for them.
Why was there a need, do you think, for this book now?
When I had my first Portuguese water dog, which wasn't Jazz or Jive, it was a dog named Breezer, I looked back on that experience when Jazz and Jive came into my life, and it was so very different. I made decisions with Breezer from a perspective of not being so fully engaged with him as I am Jazz and Jive. It was more like he was loved, he was fed, but it was kind of engaging him was sort of at my convenience when I had time to spend time with him.
Right.
Having responsibility for a dog is is not that unlike a child. They are a different species, so there are some definite differences, but they're very, very demanding.
Right.
They need attention, they need time, they need exercise, they need food, they need love. They need so much, and when you engage them from that perspective, it's a whole different experience.
Right. And for me, reading your book, I've never owned a dog. I've had a cat. I learned so much in reading this book about dogs and the care and there's so much to know, and really this book covers, everything from A to Z. A big part of this book is the socialization process. What's different in the way that you approach kind of how you deal and handle and love your dogs as opposed to maybe some of the traditional ideas of the parent is the dominant person over the dog, and you discuss that so well in your book, but what are some ideas you want people to understand?
First of all, that dogs are sentient beings. By that I mean they have feelings. They feel pain, they feel joy, they feel fear, and that's very important to keep in our mind because too many times we sort of make them objects in our lives, and the law does define them as an object. If you have a divorce, the dog becomes part of the furniture. In terms of that. So it's important to realize that they're a sentient being. And for that reason, they really don't fit that alpha myth, that alpha concept very well. The alpha concept was somehow determined to be the way to train dogs, be dominant, be in charge. But there's been much research done since then that's proven of wolves, because dogs are descendants of wolves, they've transferred that concept to dogs. But in studying wolves, they've learned that wolves live in family groups and there is no alpha pack member.
Okay.
There's natural dominance like there is in every species, I think, between the parent and the child. You respect your parents and have a sense of they're dominant over you in some fashion because they're your parent. And that's the same thing when you parent a dog. The dog in the dog world, of course, feels that for their parent, but you just have that natural dominant relationship. You don't have to force it. It's not alpha, and you don't have to force any dominance with them. They're already dependent on you for food, for lodging, for care, for safety. That's already there. They know that. You don't have to prove that point. And so I believe because of that, the alpha concept is a myth, and what you need to do is be the parent, set the boundaries, but do it in a positive, loving way.
Okay,
Use
all right.
positive training techniques.
Yeah, and in this book, you provide so much great research to kind of emphasize what you're talking about. What were some of your favorite parts of putting this book together, and that you think people really will kind of take something away from?
What a great question.
Yeah.
Nobody's asked me that one yet. I think my favorite part is, I really think the perspective of thinking of the dog as a member of your family from a parent perspective, and to engage them. Jibe, we need you to be down. Jibe, we need you down. Did you sit
So
down?
gentle.
Thank you. Good girl. Just lay down, please. To think of being with dogs, having dogs in your family from a parent perspective, and realizing that they are indeed a different species, respecting all those differences, but engaging them as a true family member, and always being conscious of that. When you travel, think that they need water. My dogs have their little travel bags, whether they're for a long distance or a short distance. They have their own sleeping place in the house. They have their own crate, their own sleeping bed. They have their own toy box full of toys. So they have their own eating area. They have their own play area, a fenced-in backyard. So it's really building your family life around the fact that these are very sentient, live members of your family, and yet a canine species.
Right. And why is this book good for a newbie?
Somebody who's just brought a dog into their life for the first time.
Considering even bringing a dog into their
because
life.
my first two chapters really talk about why do you even want a dog and what motivates us to want a dog. You know, I talk in great length about how bringing a dog into our life is the most impulsive decision that we make. We rarely put much thought or research into it. We just see that darling dog and say, I want that dog. And so we bring them home, and 6 months later they're huge, they've grown full size. You haven't spent time training them, so you consider them wild or out of control, and oftentimes they get resurrendered.
Yeah.
So it's so important to have information like I thought would be helpful putting in my book, everything, as you say, from A to Z, that will help that prospective pet parent thinking about bringing a dog into their life really get a clue as to what they're getting into.
And you even go into details. You have a checklist in here regarding socialization in terms of having your dogs maybe visit with a police officer, people in uniform, just to get them used to that. Why are those things so important?
Well, if you think about it, when you have a dog that's fearful, or people will often say to me, if I meet dogs, I'm like, you know, he's very comfortable with people, but my dog doesn't like other dogs. Or my dog is very comfortable with other dogs, but not very comfortable with other people. Dogs have to learn how to live in our world, and it's our responsibility to help them do that comfortably. And socialization to other people and socialization to other dogs is a key part of that. But socialization also includes loud noises, different smells, different places, hats, beards, colorful clothing, bikes, skateboards, anything that your dog would encounter in the day. Now, if your dog stays at home all day and never ventures out, your dog is losing out on an awful rich aspect of what they could be experiencing in life. But so when you do take them out, if they're jittery or you know, tentative and fearful, that's very often because you haven't exposed them to the world that they live in.
Well, there's so much more in this book, and congratulations also. You just got this award of excellence from the Indie Excellence Book Awards. That's a pretty huge deal, isn't it?
It is. We're very excited. We're very excited to be recognized in the literary world for excellence for our book. My first book. I'm very humbled and very happy.
That's a great sign, a first-time author, and so much in this book. And you're also going to be doing a TED Talk at some point.
Yes.
You want to tell us about that?
The TED Talk is scheduled for August of this summer in Wilmington, Delaware, and it's the TEDx Wilmington, Delaware conference. So it's an all-day schedule of speakers, and it's a huge event. Their conferences are very, so I'm so honored.
Well, congratulations on all the success. If people want to find out more about where to buy your book or where to find out more about you, I'm sure you have all the website information.
We do. It's very simple. It's jazzandjive.com. Jazz and Jive. Say thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
It was nice to spend time with you. We had a wonderful time.
I get the much better view of the dogs.
The camera. Sorry, they want to see us, not you.
It's all right. Thank you so much, Donna.
Thank you, Judy.